My sister stole my business and told everyone I was too stupid to run it. 5 years later, she tried to sue me for millions. But when I placed a flash drive on the judge's desk, her eyebrows shot up. Then she leaned forward and said, "Do they realize what's on here?" I, 32 sat in that courtroom watching my sister's lawyer drone on about intellectual property theft, and I couldn't help but think about how we got here. 5 years ago, I had a business. A good one. A software consulting firm I'd built from nothing, working 70-hour weeks, sleeping in my office, eating ramen for dinner more nights than I could count. Then my sister walked in one day and asked if she could help with the administrative side. I was drowning in paperwork, so I said yes. Biggest mistake of my life. 3 months later, I was locked out of my own company. She'd systematically transferred clients, forged my signature on documents, and convinced our investors that I was unstable. The breaking point came when she held a board meeting without me and presented a vote of no confidence. I wasn't even invited. When I showed up anyway, security escorted me out. My own security team. The guys I'd hired. They wouldn't even look me in the eye. My sister stood in the lobby that day and told me I was too stupid to run a real business. She said it loud enough for everyone to hear. Said I'd been riding on luck and her hard work, and that the company would thrive now that I was gone. Some people actually nodded. These were people I'd considered friends. People I'd given jobs to when they needed them. They all just stood there and watched me leave. I won't lie and say the next year wasn't brutal. I lost my apartment because I'd tied everything into the business. Moved back in with my parents at 30, which was humiliating. My mom kept asking what happened, and I couldn't even explain it properly because I still didn't fully understand how she'd done it. Dad just looked disappointed, like maybe my sister had been right all along. That look hurt worse than anything she'd said. But I'm not the type to stay down. I spent 6 months working at a friend's tech repair shop during the day and coding at night. I'd noticed a gap in the market during my consulting days. Small businesses needed automation tools but couldn't afford enterprise solutions. So I built something simple, clean, and affordable. Started with 1 client, then 5, then 50. I kept my head down and my mouth shut. Didn't tell anyone what I was doing, especially not family. My new company grew faster than the old one ever did. Turns out when you actually solve problems instead of just talking about solutions, people notice. Within 3 years, I had 200 employees and contracts with mid-sized companies across the country. My sister's firm, meanwhile, had stagnated. She'd inherited my client base, but didn't know how to grow it. She was good at administration, at organizing, at making things look professional. But she couldn't innovate, couldn't close deals, couldn't do the actual work that mattered. I heard through the grapevine that she'd run the company into the ground. Lost clients, made bad investments, hired expensive consultants who couldn't fix her fundamental problem, which was that she didn't understand the industry. By year 4, she was hemorrhaging money. I felt nothing when I heard that. Maybe I should have felt vindicated, but mostly I just felt tired. Then I got the lawsuit. She was suing me for theft of trade secrets, claiming I'd stolen proprietary information from her company to build mine. Her company, the one she'd stolen from me. The audacity was breathtaking. She wanted $12 million in damages plus rights to my current business. Her lawyer had included a statement from her describing how I'd always been jealous of her success, how I'd been planning this theft for years, how I was a vindictive person who couldn't accept that she was better at running the business than I was. I read that complaint sitting in my office at 2 a.m, and I laughed until I cried. Then I just cried. Because despite everything, she was still my sister. We'd grown up together. I'd taught her to ride a bike. She'd helped me with my math homework. And now she was trying to destroy me again. Except this time, I actually had something to lose. My lawyer told me the case was serious. She had documentation showing that some of the architecture in my new software resembled protocols from the old company. Never mind that I designed those protocols in the first place. Never mind that the code was completely different. She'd found enough similarity to make a case, and her lawyer was expensive. The kind of expensive that wins cases regardless of merit. But here's the thing about being betrayed that thoroughly. You learn to protect yourself. After she kicked me out, I'd been angry and confused, but I wasn't stupid. Before I left that building for the last time, I'd made copies. Lots of copies. Every email I'd ever sent. Every document I'd created. Every piece of evidence showing that I'd built that company from scratch. I'd backed it all up to 3 different locations because I had a feeling I might need it someday. And I'd done something else too. something I wasn't proud of but didn't regret. I'd installed monitoring software on the company's servers before I lost access. Technically legal since I was still listed as the founder and technically still had server privileges, even though I'd been locked out of the physical building. That software had been running for 5 years, quietly logging every email, every file transfer, every internal communication. I checked it periodically, unable to help myself, watching my former company crumble in real time. What I found was worse than I'd imagined. My sister hadn't just pushed me out. She'd actively sabotaged me. I found emails where she told clients I'd had a nervous breakdown. Messages to investors claiming I'd been embezzling funds. A coordinated campaign to destroy my reputation that had started weeks before she made her move. She'd planned the whole thing meticulously. But she'd also been sloppy in other ways. I found evidence of actual embezzlement on her part. Money moved to personal accounts. Fake vendor invoices. She'd been robbing the company blind while running it into the ground. And in her desperation to save herself, she'd fabricated evidence against me. I watched in real time as she created documents, backdated them, and planted them in old project folders to make it look like I'd stolen from her. So when I walked into that courtroom, I had a flash drive in my pocket that contained 5 years of evidence. Every crime she'd committed, every lie she'd told, every piece of proof that the business had been mine and that she'd stolen it through fraud. My lawyer had advised me to present it in discovery, but I'd refused. I wanted to see her face when it all came out. The trial had been going on for 2 weeks. Her lawyer had been confident, presenting a narrative of a troubled founder who couldn't let go and a competent executive who'd saved the company from his mismanagement. They'd brought in former employees who testified about my erratic behavior. I recognized some of them. People my sister had fed lies to. People who'd believed her because why wouldn't they? She was professional and put together, and I'd been the one getting kicked out by security. My lawyer had defended me well, but we were running out of time. The judge seemed skeptical of my claims. I could see it in the way she looked at me, like I was exactly what my sister had described. A bitter ex-founder who couldn't move on. That's when I decided it was time. During my turn to present evidence, I stood up and approached the bench. I pulled out the flash drive and placed it in front of the judge. Her eyebrows shot up. She asked what it was, and I told her it was 5 years of server logs and communications from my former company. Every email, every document, everything. The judge picked up the flash drive and examined it. She looked at my sister's lawyer, then at my sister. Then she leaned forward and said something that made the whole courtroom go silent. She asked if they realized what was on here. My sister's face went white. Her lawyer started objecting, demanding to know how I'd obtained this information, claiming it was illegal surveillance. But my lawyer was ready. He explained that I'd installed the monitoring software when I was still the legal owner and had never removed my administrative access. It was all above board. Questionable ethically maybe, but legal. The judge called a recess and took the flash drive to her chambers. We waited for 3 hours. My sister wouldn't look at me. Her lawyer kept making phone calls, his voice getting more agitated each time. I just sat there, feeling strangely calm. Whatever happened next, at least the truth would come out. When we reconvened, the judge's expression had changed completely. She'd reviewed enough of the contents to understand what she was looking at. She asked my sister's lawyer if he'd like to withdraw the lawsuit. He conferred with my sister in urgent whispers. I could see her shaking her head, refusing, even as he clearly tried to convince her otherwise. She was in too deep, had to believe her own lies to function. The judge didn't wait for an answer. She started reading excerpts from the files. Emails where my sister discussed how to remove me from the company. Messages where she fabricated claims about my mental health. Documentation of her embezzlement. The courtroom was silent except for her voice. Every word was a nail in my sister's coffin. Then the judge got to the fabricated evidence. She read aloud from an email where my sister told someone to create fake documents and backdate them to frame me for theft. The person she'd been emailing had expressed concern about perjury. My sister had responded that it didn't matter because I couldn't prove anything. Except I could, because I had everything. The judge dismissed the case with prejudice. She also referred the matter to the district attorney's office for potential criminal charges. My sister stood up and tried to speak, but her lawyer pulled her back down. It was over. 5 years of planning, of revenge, of trying to destroy me one final time, and it had blown up in her face in spectacular fashion. Update 1. The fallout was immediate and severe. The The district attorney filed charges within a week. Fraud, embezzlement, perjury. My sister was arrested at her home. I heard about it from my mom, who called me crying, asking how I could do this to family. I tried to explain that I hadn't done anything, that my sister had done this to herself. But my mom didn't want to hear it. To her, I was the one who destroyed my sister's life. Dad was different. He called me separately and apologized. Said he should have believed me 5 years ago. Should have asked more questions. Should have known his daughter wouldn't just suddenly become incompetent overnight. We talked for 2 hours. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. The business community response was swift. Articles appeared in trade publications about the case. My sister became a cautionary tale about corporate fraud. Several of my old employees reached out to apologize. They'd been fed lies and hadn't questioned them. Some asked for jobs. I hired a few of them, not out of forgiveness, but because they were good at what they did and I needed people. My sister's company dissolved within a month. Investors pulled out. Clients left. Employees quit. The whole thing just collapsed. I could have bought it, taken back what was originally mine, but I didn't want it. That company was tainted. Better to let it die. My own company thrived. The publicity from the trial had actually helped. Potential clients saw that I'd built something successful after being betrayed, and they respected that. We landed 3 major contracts in the month following the trial. Revenue doubled. I had to hire faster than I'd planned. My sister took a plea deal. 3 years in prison, full restitution of what she'd stolen, community service after release. Her lawyer had tried to argue for probation, but the judge wasn't having it. Said the premeditation and the attempt to further defraud me through litigation showed a pattern of behavior that required consequences. I went to the sentencing hearing. Sat in the back. My sister saw me, and her face twisted with hate. She looked older than her years. Tired. Defeated. Part of me felt bad. Part of me remembered that look she'd given me 5 years ago when she said I was too stupid to run a business. That part felt nothing. Update 2. 2 years have passed since the trial. My sister is still in prison. She'll be out next year. My mom visits her regularly and keeps asking me to come along. I've refused every time. I don't know what I'd say to her. Don't know if there's anything to say. The business is doing better than I ever imagined. We hit 50 million in revenue last year. I've been approached by venture capital firms about expansion, about going public. I'm considering it. The scared kid who got kicked out of his own company feels like a different person now. I started dating someone. She knows the whole story. Asked me if I ever regretted pressing charges against my sister. I told her no. That some betrayals are too fundamental to forgive. That family doesn't mean you get to destroy someone without consequences. She understood. Said it showed strength, not cruelty. But late at night, sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd just let it go. If I'd taken the high road, built my business and never looked back. Maybe my family would still be intact. Maybe my mom would still talk to me more than once a month. Maybe I'd feel less hollow about the whole thing. Then I remember sitting in my childhood bedroom at 30 years old, listening to my sister give interviews about her successful company, and I stopped wondering. Some things you can't let go. Some things require justice, even if justice costs you. My sister tried to reach out through my dad recently. Sent a letter asking if we could talk when she gets out. Said she'd had time to think, to reflect, to understand what she'd done. Part of me wants to believe that people can change. That maybe prison gave her perspective. That maybe we could rebuild something. But I remember the emails. The calculated cruelty. The systematic destruction of my reputation. The attempt to steal from me twice. And I know that some bridges, once burned, can't be rebuilt. Some relationships can't survive certain betrayals. I haven't responded to the letter. Don't know if I will. My therapist says I need to decide what closure looks like for me. That forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. That I can acknowledge she's my sister while also acknowledging that she tried to destroy me. Twice. The flash drive sits in a safe in my office. I haven't looked at it since the trial. Don't need to. But I keep it as a reminder. Not of revenge, but of survival. Of the fact that documentation saves lives. That truth, eventually, wins out. That you can lose everything and build it back better. Sometimes former employees from the old company reach out on LinkedIn. They congratulate me on my success. Some apologize for not standing up for me. I accept the apologies, but don't forget the silence. You learn who people are when things fall apart. Most people choose the easier path. Choose to believe the comfortable lie rather than ask hard questions. I built something real this time. Something that can't be taken away through manipulation or fraud. Something I protected from day one with proper legal structures and controls. No one has administrative access but me. No one can lock me out of my own company. I learned that lesson thoroughly. Next month, we're launching a new product that's going to revolutionize small business accounting. It's something I've been working on for 3 years. Something my sister wouldn't have understood even if she'd seen the plans. Because she never understood that success isn't about looking professional or saying the right things. It's about solving real problems for real people. The judge from my case sent me a card when she read about the new product launch in the business section. Said she was glad to see justice had truly been served. That the best revenge is living well. I appreciated the sentiment, but she was wrong about one thing. This wasn't revenge. Revenge was short-term. This was something else entirely. This was proof that you can't destroy someone who refuses to stay down. That theft and lies might win battles, but truth wins wars. That family means nothing if it's built on betrayal. My sister thought she was taking my future. Instead, she gave me the motivation to build something she could never touch. Something real. Something mine. If you like this story, please like this video and subscribe us for more such real life-based stories. Thanks in advance.